In this week's lab, you will be observing if a reaction occurs or not. We just want to know if a reaction is spontaneous. For the first two reactions, you will place a small amount of zinc or copper metal in a test tube and add about 20 drops of HCl. In your notebook, record if anything happens. You can wait up to 2 minutes if you do not see a reaction immediately. In part C, you will need 1 molar solutions, which are standard concentration. You will do this by mixing equal amounts of 2 molar solutions. So this time you will need to measure your volumes more carefully rather than just adding 20 drops. The calcium ions will come from calcium nitrate, and the sulfate ions will come from ammonium sulfate. Again, record your observations. If nothing happens, check back every few minutes for about 10 total minutes. In part 2, you will repeat the procedure in part C, except with non-standard concentrations. In each of 2 small beakers, place 49 milliliters of water. To one beaker, add 1 milliliter of calcium nitrate, swirl to mix, and in the other beaker, add a milliliter of ammonium sulfate, swirl to mix. Then pour 1 beaker into the other and swirl to mix. Record your observations. Again, if nothing happens, check back every few minutes for 10 total minutes. Finally, in part 3, you will examine the effects of temperature. You will add 20 drops of cobalt chloride in hydrochloric acid to 3 test tubes. Please note, there's nothing to mix here. The solution is already made for you. 1 test tube should be left at room temperature as your control. The second should be placed in a hot water bath. Make this by placing a small amount of water in a beaker and placing it on a hot plate. The third test tube should be placed in an ice bath. Make this by placing some ice and a small amount of water in a beaker. You should see some change in color when you heat or cool your sample. When you're finished, all of your waste can go in the waste container.